Should the U.S. government be allowed to set up fake crimes in order to lock up people who otherwise might never have committed any crimes? Crimesider's Graham Cates has been working on this investigation for a year. Graham, thanks for being with us. Explain how the government sets up these stings and how often they happen.
Sure, and this story was written by a reporter named Adam Wisniewski, and he works for the Crime Report, which is a news site that we partner with. And what we found is that in over 100 cases in the last 2 years, law enforcement, basically they set up what are called fake stash houses. And that's where they kind of go through largely poor neighborhoods and let people know, we're looking to rob this place that in real life doesn't exist, where there's a fake stash house for drug deals. And then once someone kind of takes them up on their offer, they get arrested.
People sometimes say no, though, at first, right?
Yeah, that happens. I mean, the idea is that they target people who they think might be susceptible to participating in this, and that's what they say they're targeting. And the amounts that are offered, this is a large amount of money, and as one judge put it, getting dragged through a poor neighborhood.
Oh, so typically, what has the defense been in cases like this?
Often in the cases we looked at, and again, this is over 100 and over the course of 18 months between 2014 and 2015, it's an outrageous government conduct claim, which is a kind of an obscure legal tenet where they say, look, the government literally created a fake crime and then chose someone who, for no other reason, would have had no predisposition to do this exact crime, and then said, we're arresting him for it. And judges in general have said, well, in the one case, we were kind of stuck here. We have to, by the law, put this person in prison. But they've also kind of railed against the use of this for a long time now. We have one judge said, you guys are dragging $500,000 through a poor neighborhood. It's totally misguided policy. Another judge said the infliction of a 120-month prison sentence on a defendant who, if simply left alone by our government, would otherwise be free is a manifest injustice. And the other thing that Adam found during his reporting was that each time that this argument fails, that the outrageous government conduct claim doesn't go through, it actually makes the bar for what's considered outrageous kind of get harder to reach, because prosecution can say, well, in that last case, it didn't work, so why would it work in this case?
And so one of the cases that did set a strong precedent against claims of quote-unquote outrageous government conduct was Corday Black versus the U.S. What happened in that case?
Yeah, it's a really important case, and it comes up a lot now. What happened was basically what we described just now, which is that 3 people were sentenced to prison for more than 15 years, and the informant in that case said, I specifically went to this neighborhood because it was a bad part of town. He implied basically this is where the poor people are, that's who we're going to target. And they are still in prison, right? And what happens now is that gets cited over and over again, and the idea is that it's okay now, according to that decision, to kind of say these people are predisposed to commit this crime.
Wow, that would be outrageous, I think, for some people to kind of think that you can't go into a neighborhood and sort of stereotype and say everyone in here is likely to commit a crime, so it's okay to go in there.
Yeah, and that's why judges, again, like a lot of times you'll see in their in their sentencing, they'll say, I have to do this, but I'm really uncomfortable with it. One judge pointed out that the prosecution had said, well, this person had had a previous drug crime, therefore he's likely to be a narco trafficker. And the judge actually said, using that logic, our current president is a likely narco trafficker, as is at least one person who almost became a Supreme Court justice.
Let's turn, though, to the issue of suspected terrorists or people who might be terrorist sympathizers. These stings are often used in those kinds of cases, right? Yeah,
it pops up. It's a little bit harder to get the data on that because, in part, because terrorism investigations tend to be harder to get information from. They're considered part of national security, and also because the fake stash house sting is really where this was kind of created for in the 90s. But there's a really famous case from 4 years ago called the Newburgh Four, and it's a nickname given to 4 people who were sentenced for plotting to blow up a synagogue in New York City. And what happened in that case was a man posed as a wealthy businessman at a poor mosque in Newburgh, New York, and he convinced 4 people to take part in this plan. He offered them large amounts of money, and at first actually was turned down by the alleged ringleader of the group. And he offered one guy $250,000, a barbershop, a vacation, and a BMW to participate in this. And there's someone who's very poor. And then what really annoyed the judge in this case, after sentencing all of these men to 25 years, I was at the sentencing, and she said, you know, if the government did not infiltrate some nefarious plot here. She said the government created the criminal and then manufactured the crime. And she said, All I'm doing to the end is giving these men who did no harm to anyone a chance to die outside the walls. And she said that when she decided to only give them 25 years when the government was saying they deserve life sentences.
A lot of serious questions. Graham Cates, thank you so much for that. And remember, you can track investigations and read up on the big crime stories of the day at cbsnews.com/Crimesider.